get ahead of the president on this, but you could expect more announcement, more pardons and clemency at the end of this term.
Hard to hear, but that was President Biden's spokesperson. Hunter Biden, the president's son, is not going to go to prison for federal gun conviction and tax evasion. Why? Because his dad, the president, gave him a full and unconditional pardon for any offenses Hunter has committed in the last decade, both those he's accused of and others he may be accused of over a 10-year period. President Biden did this last night after saying multiple times during his presidency that he would not do it. So why do this 180? Biden claims his son was targeted because he was his son. Whether that's the case is up for you to decide. But whatever the case, President Biden's choice in doing this is one that have some people in clemency work talking and taking note over its impact.
In America tonight, Hunter Biden's pardon is causing some in the field of pardons to speak up about President Biden's act on behalf of his own son.
The thing that's deeply unfortunate, if you're somebody like me who knows the stories of other people who are seeking a pardon, is that he doesn't have the same empathy for them.
1,684 people are seeking a pardon right now. People who did their time, re-entered society, and who may not have a direct line to the Oval Office.
And these are people that followed the rules, that they made their case. They filled out all the forms. They got people to support them. They told their story, and they lived a life that in many cases merited a pardon.
If any of them get the grace from the president that his son did is yet to be known. There are a few weeks left for Biden to consider their cases, but this case is drawing scrutiny for a lot of reasons. One is that Biden said he wouldn't give Hunter a pardon. And two, just the optics of it. In his own statement, President Biden said in closing of explaining this choice, said, quote, "I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision," end quote.
Now that is not normal. We don't usually see that kind of personal reference in there, and make of it what you will. At least it's honest, I guess. It would have been much more principled if he had grouped Hunter Biden with 1,000 other people and said, sometimes prosecutors overreach. Sometimes things are motivated by things they shouldn't be. And that would have been much more palatable, I think, as opposed to just saying, I'm going to pick my kid and nobody else.
President Biden did not say no one else. He can pardon others, but he did issue this pardon only for Hunter. And it was broad. As in its language, it says, quote, "a full and unconditional pardon for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024.
And that's why this remarkable breadth is really striking and frankly a little bit frightening, because you can imagine that being used for really dark purposes.
Only Nixon had a pardon that broad, and this pardon is as big of a deal as it can't shy away, even in the president's own statement about it, of it being personal.
Democrats, it's going to be almost impossible at this point. And when President Trump comes in and he's indicated he's going to use clemency right away, to say that's not principle, that's favoritism. Well, that mold has been broken.
President Biden can issue pardons or clemency until his last day in the presidency, which is January 20th of next year.